Hey, everybody. Welcome to Talk, Teach, Play. My name is Aaron Locks. I'm the CEO and founder of the National Academy of Athletics. And I'm excited about our topic today, which is helping kids stay engaged in sports, even though they don't get to necessarily play games these days. And with me is the director of basketball operations and a good friend of mine that we've known for, I think it's going on 3 decades now, Rich Shayewitz. Rich, how's things going with you guys?
Things are great, considering the circumstances, but I'm really excited to be here and really looking forward to having a great conversation with you.
Fantastic. You know, today's topic is probably thanks to Facebook. It's funny to me how I get these reminders of, my kids playing sports. And sometimes it makes me sad because I'm like, man, they can't be out there playing games. But it's really cool watching, Mia shooting a three a couple years ago or Mason playing football or whatever. And I kind of wonder, how are you guys handling that? I mean, you're not only coaching 2 college basketball teams, men's and women's at Sonoma State, but, I remember one time you were at a coach's clinic I was running and you were coaching for the YMCA. So obviously you're coaching at such a wide spectrum. How are you dealing with this with your own kids and kind of in general? How are you dealing with everything in terms of them not being able to play the games, but keep them still engaged?
I think that's the really difficult part of the situation that we're in. Like you said, we're constantly being reminded that we're not doing. So trying to find ways to keep them active with activities. My son's fortunate enough to be able to still play a little bit of baseball. My daughter was playing indoor volleyball, and now she transitioned to an outdoor beach team. So that's kind of kept her active. As far as my college teams goes, I mean, that's really where it's difficult because the only thing that they're able to do is find a hoop outside and try to work on something there. They're very rarely playing against each other, and the competition part of it's probably very few and far between. But from my end, as someone who's trying to coach them, it's a lot of encouragement and a lot of trying to keep them positive about the situation and get through it, and encouraging them to do other things. I think one of the big encouragements that I had when this really first started was to not sit around and wait for quote unquote basketball season or soccer season. Go find some kind of other activity to do that will teach you a lot of different things. You learn so many things from so many different activities. So trying to encourage them to stay active and do a lot of different things, I think has
I love
been
that.
my
It's such a
approach.
great tip. It's like I was talking on another session and we were talking about how the kid's body is like an all-terrain vehicle, and we get so focused on doing one thing over and over again that it's like having a sports car and never getting out of first gear, or a Jeep and never going four-wheel driving. You know what I mean? But let me ask you this, because I got a lot of parents are asking this question of me. They're talking about they're afraid their kids are going to lose their skills, their development, if they don't play or don't practice all the time for 3 months, 6 months or whatever. And give me some thoughts on that. I've got some thoughts on that, but I'm curious your mindset. If someone doesn't play basketball intensely or work on it for 3 months or whatever it is, what's your thought on that? Got any insights on that?
Sure. Well, I think just like anything that we do, whether it's basketball, whether it's writing cursive, whether it's shuffling a deck of cards. I think when you have the skill, the general basics of the skill, you're never just going to lose it. I Obviously the mastery of the skill is based on the age is what we always strive for, but no one ever masters anything. So I think that it's kind of false to think that, oh yeah, my kid's going to lose what they've learned. I think it's just, it's like, how sharp is it? I think the misnomer is that when you gain the skill or you improve so much, you don't doesn't drop off and now back to starting zero. Yeah, you may need to catch up a little bit, but I don't think it's one of those things where I've improved my free throw shooting X amount. I've stopped shooting free throws. It doesn't mean when I go back to it, it's not going to improve or get back to where it was. So I'm not a believer that not doing something all of a sudden your skill is gone. No way.
I was thinking about that because, again, granted, I'm older, but I remember if I don't shoot free throws, but then, I mean, for sometimes 6 months or whatever, and I go back to the gym, I can literally shoot, 25, and then I can make 9 out of 10, pretty much 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 ongoing. But a lot of that is muscle memory, right? And the confidence of it, correct? And I know you've
I
talked
agree.
about the importance
Absolutely.
of the imagery, right? And that, are there things you think that our kids could be doing that maybe if they're not out there working on it, or we got inclement weather in some of the places it's raining and snowing and they can't really play basketball. What about the mental side of it? How can they, like maybe improving their basketball IQ or their sports in general IQ or visioning and things like that? You got some tips on that? Maybe things that you maybe do work with your team that would work with younger kids as well?
Well, I always encourage whoever it is, whether it's at any age, to really dive in and if you're interested in at basketball and playing basketball during basketball season, then you should watch a little bit of basketball. Don't be a basketball player and not watch basketball. Don't be a baseball player and not watch baseball. I mean, I think we have so many resources in front of us, not only just watching the professionals play or the colleges play. I think, you can go on YouTube, watch so many different things that maybe can help you out and help you stay sharp and give you a different perspective of something that will help you along these times. And what, like you said, the mental part, it could be a verbal cue that maybe a speaker gives you that maybe helps you along. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of different things that go on. For my teams and even my kids who are younger, I encourage them to watch and model as much as possible what they see. If something, their favorite player or something like that. I mean, when you were a kid, you were out there and you thought you were Larry Bird, or you thought, whoever it was, and trying to do those things is really, really important.
I sometimes I think about this where our kids are on the screen so much that it's really tough right now, right? In the sense that how much can they get out of it? But I also know, like you said, those that love the game, for me, part of it right now is, if we're talking about how to keep the kids engaged and motivated, maybe, like you said, is to kind of give them other passions, whether it's music or other things. But I'm also getting pushed by some parents that are asking about, my kid's going to lose their baseball skills, so they should be out there in the garage taking swings every single day. And yet I try to tell them, I think it's important they play multiple sports and try, especially when they're younger, and that. What's your thought on playing multiple sports? And especially now when maybe you can't play games, but why couldn't you? I mean, I guarantee you, when you were younger and I were younger, we went down the street and this is how we started the games, right? And then we would play baseball until we lost the baseball. And then we would pick up a basketball until we were tired. And then we, do whatever, right? We invented and figured it out. What are we going to do to give our kids that opportunity, because they're not getting that? And I think multiple sports, multiple activities are very important. Tell me a little bit about that.
I am the biggest advocate of not, especially in the youth, of not being specific right away. I think what you learn from playing different sports is so valuable, kinesthetically, mentally, communication, adversity. I mean, I think it's so valuable. I mean, just like you said, I grew up in a park, a townhouse community, first park, second park, third park. I lived in second park, and second park, it would be baseball season. The second park would walk over to first park and we challenge them to the baseball game, baseball season. And as soon as summer hit we had something else to do, then all of a sudden third park's walking over to second park and saying, let's play football. And I think the value of that is so important. Just the other day, a friend of mine was saying, hey, you should have Ryan throw the football to you left-handed. And I kind of looked at him. I go, that's an interesting thing you say. And just so I could hear his side, I said to him, Ryan's my son. I said, why do you say that? He goes, well, I know he doesn't play football, but I do notice that, if he threw the ball left-handed 10 times a week, it would just help him be better on his offhand of doing different things, whether it be fielding a ball, playing basketball, whatever it is. And I thought that was so out of the box, but simple, that another example of why they should be doing so many different things and teaching their bodies to move in different ways.
And I wanted to kind of dig back in. You were starting to talk about playing multiple sports. And my kids have played multiple sports. Mason played 3 in high school. My daughter did as well, in terms of as she's coming up. So talk to me a little bit about your thought on 3-sport athletes, or playing lots of different sports, or kind of how your mind is around that, not just from your college level on down, but your own kids. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's so much value to be added to someone when they're playing multiple sports. I actually think it's detrimental to a young athlete to just play one sport. I think the things that they learn by playing multiple sports is so that we can't teach them. They have to learn it. So whether it's baseball, basketball, football, through the seasons, I think it's really important that they learn the communication, they learn the different body movements, they learn the just the rules and I think more than anything, I think just the kinesthetic movement and how it feels to do something different is something that they can recall later in life when they really are focused on something. I grew up in a townhouse community with 3 parks at it, and we would go based on the seasons, go to the other parks and challenge them to a baseball game or challenge them to a football game just because that was the time of the year. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we played Pop Warner football, we played Little League basketball, but at that time it really didn't matter. It was just about playing the game and doing different things and trying to mimic the athletes we saw on TV. And I think without a doubt that the value that multiple sports give is priceless. I mean, even today when I'm recruiting athletes,
Yeah.
basketball men on the basketball team, I'm telling them, like, coach, I signed a letter of intent. Should I not go play baseball? I said, no, are you crazy? Go play baseball or go
Right.
play football. Do that. I go, your coach will be ecstatic that you let them know that I told you that you need to be playing so that you continue to develop your body and your athletic prowess.
In this day and age when it's challenging to get them out there, I also think by them playing multiple sports or different activities, like you said, it's not just the body, the kinesthetic side, but also the mindset. I remembered when I worked with Pat Riley, and I remember him talking about like a basketball team is like a really cool, a really good jazz band, right? You've got the drum and the bass and you got the piano and the whole deal, and everybody's got to kind of play together, right? You're all playing on the sheet music, and all of a sudden, okay, Rich, hit it, and then you got to improvise and hit the drum solo or whatever, and then you got to get back in rhythm with what's going on. So having multiple interests, in my mind right now, if I'm a parent to my kids and trying to keep kids engaged in playing the sport, I think, like you said, give them other activities that are outside of it, but teach them maybe how it comes back and can help them going forward with that, right?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, there's so many different things that are out of the box that we don't traditionally see that they could be doing in some kind of activity that will broaden their experience and their abilities. I mean, the one game I think of is called not netball. Shoot, little yellow ball. You slam it down on the.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they got like a little thing in a springboard. And you got to get. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, I'll think of it. But God, what an outstanding game that um, that you can play that it broadens it just allows you to move and spike ball is what it's called, spike ball. And spike ball, I mean, the movement, the right hand, left hand, the lateral movement side to side, the strategy. I mean, talk about something that is so out of the box. It's not something that we play. And all of a sudden you're playing it like, holy crap, this is so valuable.
It's teaching
Throwing a
the kid.
frisbee,
It's teaching the
right?
kid to be an athlete, right? I mean, use your body to be
Yes.
athletic, and that's what we want. Because, like whether whatever your sport, at some point your body's going to have to move away and use muscles you didn't even know you had, right? That's what all the cross training is doing. But why not do it in a fun way, right? I mean, that's a big part,
Yes.
right? So speaking of fun,
Absolutely.
how do you keep it fun? Because I know, look, man, Coach Wooden explained to me over and over again, routine, right? Repetition, because that's how we learn these things. But how do you keep a kid? It's like the horse wants to race, man. I want to race. I want to go. And you're saying, yeah, sorry, you can't race. So how do you keep it? For me, it's play and competition. But how do you keep it where they keep that interest? Because that's what's going on right now. A lot of kids are losing interest in sport because they're not able to go play the games. What do you suggest we do for these kids?
You know, yeah, I think that's a really, really hard thing to see. I'm seeing it now already on my son's baseball team, my daughter's volleyball teams. is that, yeah, they're losing kids because they're not competitive aspect. But I think that a way around that is to try to figure out, is to get their input on what makes it fun for you. You
Yeah.
know, what can we do aside from playing the game? What makes it fun? So, for instance, my son, in playing baseball, there's no baseball games going. I said, well, what can we do that you would like to do, and that would keep your interest? And I said, we can get a little work done too, but
Yeah.
what's going to be fun for you? He goes, well, Dad, I love to hit. Well, of course you love to hit.
Yeah.
You know, so I got a bucket of balls, and I learned to throw batting practice, and hey, I'm all right. I'll throw 5 buckets of batting practice for you.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, what else do you want to do? I like to play second base. Okay, well, I'll hit some balls at second base, and
Right.
then we'll call your friends and say, hey, we're gonna play a little. We're gonna put together a little makeshift three-person game out in the field, and we'll figure it out, and we'll make up games, and a lot of wiffle ball, a lot of flag touch football, all these things that are so lost nowadays playground, that I think finding ways to engage them in activities that they want to do, and subconsciously, I guess, almost Jedi mind trick them that they are getting better at sport just because you're not
Yeah.
playing the game and there's a scoreboard up, but you're still getting the activity in, and the skill in.
Dusty Baker used to make it where everything at practice was competitive. And, for them, they would run a lap or whatever, but it was really more about challenging them, because I don't know about you, but when I say competition, a lot of parents freak out because everything's over competitive, this and that. And I'm not a huge believer of that, but here's what I think. Play equals compete, right? If you want to play me chess, I'm going to try to beat you, right? Whatever it is. And when we're done, I'm going to shake your hand and move on. I'm not going to, but I want to beat you. And I have to develop the confidence and get better. So I think there's a way where maybe we can make it competitive within ourselves, even if we're not competing against somebody else, right? What is it? If you compete against yourself to get better every day, right? But what I'm finding, which is interesting for me, is the kids that I'm dealing with and some of the parents, is I'm not telling them don't tell them you're developing skills. Don't tell them you're working on your game, because it feels like a job, right? Instead, let's go out and play this game. Now, I know, like you said, if they play spike ball, man, they're developing 5 or 6 really important skills with their body, balance, all these different things that are going to help them. But if I said, let's go work on this, they don't want to do it. So like you said, Jedi mind trick a little bit. So yeah, but I would imagine even with your college kids, right? It's got to be tough to keep them, I guess, challenged and to be engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When as you get older and play more competitively, it does become more work and more of a job type atmosphere at times. And I think there's a little bit of both in that, with the college athletes. Hey, I need to go in and get my jump shots. I need to go in and get my ball handling. I need to go into the weight room and things like that. But at the same time, what we try to do is, for our college athletes, is arm them with some fun activities that does both, and so that when they leave us, that they don't need us to push them and basically sit there and work them out, that they could do it on their own. And the joy comes from whatever they're doing, and the minor gains that they're getting. When it comes to youth, it's got to be fun, right? It's got to be the game within the game, right? It's got to be, we got to make 5 throws to first base, good throws to first base in a row before we move on to the next one. First one to do it, wins. And I'm agreeing with you, Aaron, that there needs to be some kind of competitiveness in the game. Just like you said, chess, any board game, anything, they should want to win. And if they lose, it's okay too. But I think they should want to win and want to have some kind of competitive play involved, because that's why you do it, or why else do you do it? The fun part should be that.
Well, and it translates into real life. I get a lot of athletes that come to work for me. I'm very blessed. And I love when someone's played sports throughout their life, and especially multiple sports, they come in because they know how to compete, right? But I've also had people that have gone through the entire department, and I've got my degree and this and that. And I go, okay, what have you played? What have you competed in? They're looking at me like I'm nuts. And I'm going, okay, well, life is not easy at times. And if you didn't learn the lesson to get back up, if you didn't learn the lesson about failure, you crumble, and I know we've talked
Yeah.
a lot about this, especially, your philosophical components of what you're teaching is amazing as you go forward with it. So let me ask you this, because we have live virtual programming. We have recorded through the National Academy of Athletics, where kids can go in and they can do like on-demand training, things like that. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts about the difference between maybe getting someone to teach you through the video screen versus in person? Obviously, in person is probably better because they can give extra tips and feedback. But you got any ideas around that or thoughts? To me, it seems like it's an important piece. If they want it, we have to give them a chance to, here's a drill, go ahead and try it, right?
I think it's very valuable. I think used the right way, it's a great tool that we should use. I mean, even at my level, I'm constantly, maybe twice a week, I'm sending in our text message a video of someone doing something, or whether it be basketball, football, whatever, just something that they can mimic and can maybe get a verbal cue. My thing is that those things need to be so simple, right? You don't want to convolute somebody's learning process. It's hard enough. I think when you're in person, you can make corrections, you can encourage, you can focus on the things you need to focus, where those videos and things need to be very simplistic, and if they can have a minor takeaway out of everything, maybe it's a verbal cue, maybe it's just one single skill that they're working on. I think it's so valuable, especially in this time. I know there's an app out, and there's a little basketball app. I don't know what it's called. I forgot. But my son was outside and he set up his phone and he had to dribble the ball 100 times and the clock was running. Yeah. I'm like, that's like the most valuable thing possible, right?
Totally.
And I could sit there with a clock and say, okay, ready, go. But it's not as cool to the youth. The technology is important. So I think there's a lot of value to having an on-demand thing, because it allows the scope of however the athlete wants to operate. Do I want to do something that is ultra competitive, or do I want to do something that's more fundamental? And it gives them those options as well. So I think there's a lot of choices in that. And like I said, with the way we're going right now, I think it's a necessary part to have available for all ages.
Absolutely. We use what our program is based on talk, teach, play, right? 3 minutes of verbal instruction, 6 minutes of skill development, 6 minutes of play. So nothing lasts longer than 15 minutes with the kids' attention spans. I've seen a lot of practices that in terms of how to structure it. But it's interesting to me thinking back, I know you've run a lot of camps, lots of different stuff, and we've been involved with so many different camps, from Superstar Camp on down, everything going forward. I feel like, to me, one of the things that's challenging now is because they're not able to compete, that how do we create that environment? And what I'm finding, our camps right now, we're finding, granted, they got to be smaller groups and things that we're doing, but by being in camp where maybe they can't play a game, but they can do relay races, you know what I mean? So we know, right? Like if you're talking about dribbling for a little guy or throwing a baseball, whatever it is, they have to learn the fundamentals and the basics, because the confidence comes from knowing what the heck you're doing, and then obviously practicing over, right? But that's only one piece, because I know for a fact that if I could I could sit there and shoot and make 95 out of 100 free throws. Hey, I can play on your college basketball team. And you go, yeah, but you can't guard your shadow. You can't get them down the floor. This ain't gonna work, right? So they have to be able to take it and implement it. So tell me your thought process. Okay, so you're a college coach, and you've got a lot of experience, and you got kids. How important are, when kids are coming up, camps and clinics, and getting a different voice and getting information? How important is that, do you think?
I think it's vital. I think I think the diversity in the teaching is what's so valuable, right? There's so many ways to skin a cat. There's so many ways to teach dribbling, a dribbling drill. There's the fundamental of how to dribble, or how to swing a bat, or how to catch a football. Those things are usually, if you're in a good place and in a good camp or with a good coach, they teach you generally the same fundamentals. But the way they teach it and the different games they play and how to make it engaging is so different. And I think that's where you get so much value when you hear the different voice, the different terminology, the different way of learning. And we all learn differently, right? You may go to a camp and your coach is a talker. Then you go to a next camp and the next coach is, and he or she just wants to do it. And you may learn it. You may learn the exact same skill 10 times better from the doer versus the talker, just because that's the kind of person you are. So I think the diversity that goes on with different camps is so important, and to hear different voices makes you so much better. It's just like what we talked about earlier, the diversity of sport, right? It's the same thing. It's that though we're teaching the same thing, you're learning the same thing, it's how you're getting the information in a diverse way is what makes you better.
I remember Mason did a program that you ran, and there was a ton of kids there, and he was there, and he came back and he literally said, "Dad, did you know this, this, and this?" And I went, "Son of a gun." I said that to him 100 times,
Yeah.
but because you said it,
Right.
and you're not Dad, right there it is, and I think you're right. And obviously we run camps, and we love to have kids in camps, and you do as well, and camps and clinics. And anyway, I think what I'm excited about is, as we go forward, is I think that kids and parents are realizing the value, and hearing you talk about it from the college level and all the way down. I guess that the issue that comes up next is, one of the things I'm hearing a lot about is, yes, right now it's challenging, and the parents are like, well, my kid's losing all their skill level. We just want them to play as many games as possible. So now what they're saying about is they want them to go. I see guys that are taking 9-year-old kids and they're going from California to Ohio to play 6 games in 2 days. And I'm wondering, again, I don't want to say anything bad, whether it's baseball and AAU or travel soccer or whatever. Everybody's got their own journey and what they want and they want to play. But what's your thought on that? I'll give you my hint. I'm a little nervous about not just because of health and this and that, but just playing too much. Do you think that you can play too many games? Like, where's the balance point for you?
Well, I think that is a significant issue with youth sport, is the over indulgence of play versus the part of practice, the part of skill level. But I also think too that in practice is that I think the game teaches you, right, adversity and all those things we've talked about a million times of what the game winning and losing teaches you. But what I think is missing when you only play games and you don't practice and work at those things is the intricacies of being a great teammate, the intricacies of the social part of how you're supposed to operate in a drill, how you're supposed to rotate in a line, all those little things that when we get older and now we take it out of sport and get into our work life or our family life, that all these things become important. Like you mentioned, I coach a lot of different things, and I've never played baseball in my life. My son loves baseball. And because I coach professionally, I'm constantly evaluating everybody who coaches, right? It's a curse. So my son's on an all-star baseball team, and I'm watching the team practice a couple days, and I'm watching them not do anything that I think is appropriate for the team part. Now they're doing great drills, they're learning hitting and all that stuff. So I approached the coach and I said, "Coach, I'd love to help you, and I'd love to join your staff, but I don't want to do any activity as far as baseball. I want to coach the kids in the dugout. I want to coach them in lines. I want to coach them in how they rotate. I want to coach them that it is mandatory to give high fives to each person that comes off the field." And it kind of blew his mind, like, wow, this is what, and all of a sudden we started getting better because of those things. And that all functions in practice. That doesn't happen in the game. You can't make those things happen in games.
Right.
I think that's a really big issue, that more practice, less games, for sure.
Yeah. So now it's interesting because here we are, full circle. We got a place where we can't play games. So here's a chance to break it, Ronnie Lott, right? Particles, right? Let's give them the particles so they can learn. I'm a big believer, we hold these truths to become self-evident, right? In the sense that let's let them kind of bubble to the top on their own. Let them figure it out for themselves, right? Let them fail fast, fail forward, right? Let them figure these things out, because you're so right. That's what transcends sport. That's why I think there's no better life skill teaching tool than youth sports, right? Because look at all the adversity
Yes.
we have to go through every day, every game. The referee did this and all these other factors across the board. So let me give you one more question. I know we're running close on time here, but
Before we move on
yeah,
that, Aaron, before we move on, I do have to say that I feel like the parents are the problem in that.
that
That
was
the
my next question.
parents
That
want
was
to
the one I
see.
was going to ask.
Okay, and then
Yeah, that no, perfect.
okay.
Which is great leading. So we're on, like-minded, totally. So how do we educate? Okay, parents are going to watch this and they're thinking, okay, these two guys are nuts, whatnot. I probably am, but here's the question: How do we let the parents know that the coach can't, the parent can't control the journey for the kid? It's their adventure, it's their journey. I'm a perfect example, and not to praise you, but you're not a baseball guy, right? You're a fan of the game, but you didn't really, you might have played. But the bottom line is, the fact your son is playing baseball is probably amazing for him, because he knows, boy, if he played basketball, there'd be a lot of weight on his shoulders. Not that he doesn't play baseball.
Sure.
That's maybe why he gravitates that way, right? So what can we give the parents? I got a couple ideas, but let's hear you first. What are some ideas we can give parents to help them to not put the pressure on the kids now when they're not able to get the distance from their parents, right? Because they're in their house with them a lot, and to actually not be able to go play a lot of games. So what can the parents do to help the kids with this journey?
Well, I think their perspective needs to change immensely, and especially this time of year where there's no games to be played,
Yeah,
encourage the fun of practice, encourage the and welcome the what educate them on what the value of practice can be, and how to make it fun, and support the coach and support those everything they're doing. I think the hardest part is that the parents want to see their kid do what they're doing. And I get that. I'm a parent too, and I love to watch games.
yeah,
But also I love to watch practice. I love to sit and just watch what they're doing in practice. And I don't want to coach them at all. I
yeah,
just want to make sure that they're good teammates and they're doing those things. But no way do I want to say, hey, well, whatever we're doing works towards the game, because whatever we're doing works towards you enjoying what you're doing. That's the reality of it. So I'm big on making sure that the parents are encouraging them to be great teammates, to be awesome, and to be doing their best they can every day. Whatever. There's no wins and losses in practice, right? I mean, yeah,
yeah.
there is in a particular drill, but it doesn't count on anybody's record. So just be your best every day. Just be your best every day.
You remember
Um,
the name
and
Bernie Bickerstaff? It's funny.
of course,
Yeah. So he used to talk about effort. Everything was about effort, right? And I remember him talking, and there was a kid that came up. They want an autograph and the whole deal. Come up, and the parent was there, and the mom asked him. He says, "What's the one thing that I have to help my son with?" And he said, "Focus on two things. One is developing his passion for whatever he's going to do, and focus on the effort rather than the result." And I was like, wow, man, that's pretty deep. But I get it. With my kids, what I've always tried to do is make sure that whatever their passion is, try to feed that fuel, right, and do what you can to support them. But also, I go back to my mom, and I remember my mom, she was a fast runner, but not a basketball player, right? But my one-on-one time, she would just go to the schoolyard with me, and she would rebound, and she would never tell me the form. She would never even whatever. She just would rebound the ball and pass it back to me, and we would talk about life, and I would shoot the ball. And to be 8 years old and to have that one-on-one time is so amazing. It's so tough for a parent to not say, "Hey, coach said do this," and then you become the irritant, and it becomes a negative nitpick instead of just enjoy the journey, right? And to do that piece. So maybe if you're a parent out there, find a way when you like I remember doing a parent-child baseball clinic maybe 20 years ago, and I had to teach parents how to play catch with their kids. And you would think
yeah.
it's just an innate thing, throw a glove on, but they were so focused on making sure the child did it right instead of enjoying just that journey. I literally think, right now, 65% of kids that play a sport for the first time will quit after 2 seasons. Too much pressure to be
Wow.
successful. It's not fun anymore. Why? Well, that's the parents, right? Just what you said. So we really got to find a way as parents to protect our kids from ourselves and our vision of where, we're going to get college scholarships. We're going to do this. You're going to be all that. Instead, wouldn't you rather have your kid play 15 years of sports, loving it, than worry if they're going to get a college scholarship or something, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? I'll tell you, Aaron. My son, he said, "Well, I want to get better." I said, "Okay, cool, no problem." But I want, so I I encourage this. What do you want to do? You tell me the game plan. Tell me we're going to go out to the field for a half hour or 45 minutes. What do you want to do? Tell me what you want to do, and we're going to do it. I'm not going to coach you. You set the practice plan. Practice plan is probably the wrong word. You set the activity that we're going to do, and cool. Okay, we're going to play 3 flies up. Great, let's do it. You know what? Perfect. And I think that giving them ownership and what they want to do kind of teaches you too, as a parent, on what they like and how you can also communicate them. If you choose to communicate with them, it gives you an opportunity on how to see what they like and how to communicate with at their level, and something that they're willing to listen to.
Yeah. We did a session the other day, and we were talking about empowering your kids. It sounds like a perfect place. I remember Mason when he was a Pee Wee football, and he came back to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to show you," because I said, "Hey, what are you learning?" Because I feel like if I know what he's learning, then I can make sure that I'm kind of paying attention. Not that I'm going to make corrections, but show my interest, right? Show my interest in his passion. And he was showing how to catch a football and cover the points, which was something they were learning. I thought it was really cool. And he was teaching me. And it's funny, if you let your kids teach you, you can see what's going on. But and there were times where he was talking about some stuff, and I'm like, boy, I kind of feel like, but I was really disciplined because I know and smacked myself in the head enough to go, shut up. You know what I mean? It's his deal, and go through it. But that's a way we can help. So I guess the in closing, the question, we went over a lot of stuff, and man, I really appreciate the time. Is kids aren't getting to play games right now. So if there's one or two things that kind of as a recap that you would say for parents. I've got a couple that I've heard you say, but give me one or two you think, okay, I'm a parent, I'm coming to you. What should I do with my kid right now? Because we can't go play games. And I want them to stay engaged. Give me one or two things you think that would be just good little tips that I can tell them.
Well, first thing is I would talk to them about it and ask them, all right, first off, that not doing an activity is not an option, right? Because you have to get out and do something. So we're going to get that on the table first. But tell me what you want to do. What do you like to do? And then once you hear that answer, then kind of find ways to support them with it in not like, I need to go find games. Oh, Dad, I like to play baseball games. Okay, well, that's not realistic. Yeah. Okay, well, what can we do? Whether can we get a hitting coach to come hit in our backyard for a half hour? Is that something you're looking for? Or is it me putting the ball in the tee and you hitting the balls and whatever that is, listening to them and trying to figure out, okay, well, this is what they like to do. Second thing is that I think that I've always said to my kids is that, do your homework on something you can do. We talked about this earlier, whether it's a YouTube video, if it's a National Academy of Athletics video, whatever it is, and find a way to, get your passion out of something that you see online that you could participate in yourself. I'm big on trying to give them ownership and saying, okay, what is it that you like? And let me support what you like. I don't want you to do what I like. I've done that. That ship has sailed. I've done what I like. Yeah. Okay. But tell me what you like and let me help foster it by giving you an opportunity. I'm not going to coach you in. I'm just going to give you an opportunity to hide that for. If I have to drive you to the park and sit in the parking lot and wait for you, fine. That's what we got to do. Yeah, right. But I think that's the most important thing, and not trying to get out there and coach them and think this is the time they need to be getting drilled and getting better. This is a time where they just need to be out participating and really moving and finding and fostering that fire that's in them to pull. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And my add to that, I think, is like Coach Bickerstaff said, focus on the effort. When you listen to them, like you said, this is what they want to do, then focus on the effort. I know for me, it's helped when I find out what they want to do, right? Then I kind of say, okay, do you want me involved or do you want me not involved, right?
because I got to give them the option. We're on top of everything they do all the time now. So give them the space, right? Give them the space. And then the other one, which I think we have to remember, is that really sports is more about failure than success. So give them the space to fail, give them the space to figure it out on their own, because, yeah, there's some shortcuts we can do in this and that, but the bottom line is they have to figure it out for themselves. They have to do the work just like we did across the board, and that's a good way to go forward. So let me ask you this. If someone wants to reach out to you, if they got some questions, want some insights, what's the best place they can reach out to you? I know that, you're a busy guy, but I would love it if somebody has some questions from a parent standpoint or player standpoint. They got some questions. Where would they reach out? What's the best place to connect with you?
Well, they can find me on email at the SonomaSeawolves.com website, at University's athletic page. Click on men's basketball or women's basketball, and you'll see my information. Feel free to email me anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions and talk to you about it, whatever you may need.
I will remind people that if they're going to reach out to you, and you may ask them a question, do you really want to know? And they really should make sure they really want to know. And I love that about you, because this is a passion and you're a professional at it, but you're also going to be honest with them. And I really appreciate that. Appreciate the friendship and your time today. Talk, teach, play is something I'm very passionate about. From the National Academy of Athletics, we're excited that so many people are embracing the information we're able to share. And I guess if you're interested in more information, click on the button below to subscribe to the channel. If you want direct information, you can go to nationalacademyofathletics.com, catch us on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. We're out there somewhere. So definitely come find us and go forward from there. And I guess in parting, I'll just say, remind your kids to always, always, always play hard and have fun. Thanks, Coach.